Tears streamed down her face as she stood frozen, trapped between fear and the harsh reality of what had just been revealed. A mother's love is supposed to protect, to nurture, but for this young girl, it became a source of danger. When her mother discovered she was expecting a child, shock turned to rage. But the real betrayal, in the mother's eyes, was that the father of the unborn baby was her own husband, the girl's stepdad. Instead of seeking justice, the mother saw only humiliation. Fueled by jealousy and anger, she lashed out, blaming her daughter for ruining their lives. The girl pleaded, trying to explain, but her mother wasn't listening. As emotions ran high, things spiraled out of control, leading to an irreversible tragedy. What really happened that night? Was there any way this could have been stopped? Stay with us as we uncover the shocking truth. The tension in the small house had been building for weeks. Whispers had started circulating, neighbors noticing the way the mother's mood darkened, how the girl seemed more withdrawn, avoiding eye contact. Something was wrong, but no one knew just how deep the secret ran. The mother had always been possessive, overly protective of her husband, even at the expense of her own daughter. But when she overheard a hushed conversation, everything unraveled. At first, she refused to believe it. Her husband, her partner, had betrayed her in the worst way possible. But instead of directing her anger at him, she turned to the one person who couldn't fight back. In her mind, the girl had stolen something from her, ruined her home, and brought shame upon their family. The girl wanted to speak, to explain, but every word only seemed to fuel her mother's growing resentment. And then the door slammed shut. Inside the house, the air felt heavy, thick with unspoken words and emotions too dangerous to name. The mother paced back and forth, her mind racing. How had things come to this? She had sacrificed everything for this family, and now it felt like her world was crumbling. Her husband barely met her eyes, offering no explanation, no remorse. The girl, trembling in the corner, clutched her stomach as if protecting the life growing inside her. She wanted to tell her mother the truth, that she never wanted this, that she was scared, but the words wouldn't come. Outside, the world moved on as if nothing was wrong. The neighbors, hearing muffled arguments, exchanged concerned glances but said nothing. They had seen trouble brewing in that house before. The girl had always seemed too quiet, her smiles forced. But who would dare interfere in family matters? No one could have predicted what was about to happen next. The mother's breathing grew heavy as she clenched her fists, her thoughts spiraling out of control. Every time she looked at her daughter, she saw betrayal, a reminder of the man who had shattered her trust. The girl, barely able to stand, pressed herself against the wall, her heart pounding. She had never seen her mother like this before, so full of rage, so consumed by something she couldn't understand. The stepfather sat in the corner, silent, refusing to meet either of their eyes. He had been the cause of it all, yet he acted as if none of this concerned him. The girl wanted to scream at him, to make him speak, to make him tell the truth, but she knew he wouldn't. He never did. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, drowning out the tension inside. The girl glanced toward the door, wondering if she could make it. But before she could move, her mother took a step forward, eyes dark with something that sent chills down her spine. The girl's breath caught in her throat as her mother stepped closer, her expression unreadable. But just as the tension reached its peak, a loud knock echoed through the house. The sound startled them all. The mother froze, her grip tightening around the chair beside her. The girl's heart pounded. Was this her chance to escape? Another knock, louder this time. A neighbor's voice called from outside, filled with concern. "Is everything okay in there?" The girl's lips parted, the urge to scream bubbling up inside her. But before she could, her mother turned sharply, eyes locking onto hers with a silent warning. A single moment of hesitation passed, and then, with forced calmness, the mother called back, "Everything's fine." But things were far from fine. The stepfather, who had been quiet all this time, suddenly stood. "We need to fix this," he muttered under his breath. His tone sent a chill down the girl's spine. She wasn't sure what he meant, but she knew one thing: she wasn't safe. The girl's body stiffened as her stepfather's words lingered in the air. Her mother turned to him, confusion flickering in her eyes. "Fix this," she repeated, her voice lower now, less certain. The girl's pulse raced. Something was shifting, something neither of them expected. Before her mother could react, the stepfather reached for the door and swung it open. The neighbor stood there, eyes scanning the room, taking in the tension, the fear on the girl's face. "I heard shouting," he said cautiously. "Are you sure everything's okay?" The mother hesitated, her anger momentarily interrupted by the weight of being watched. She forced a tight smile, nodding. But then, to everyone's shock, the girl spoke. Her voice, small but firm, cut through the silence. "Please, help me." Her mother's eyes widened, betrayal flashing across her face. The stepfather stepped back, suddenly realizing the situation was slipping from his control. The neighbor's expression darkened. "Come with me," he said, extending his hand. And in that moment, everything changed. The girl hesitated for only a second before reaching for the neighbor's hand. Her mother's face twisted with shock, anger, and something else, fear. She opened her mouth to protest, but no words came. The stepfather took a step back, his expression unreadable, as if he already knew this was the end of his control. As the girl stepped outside, the night air felt different, lighter, freer. The neighbor's grip was firm, reassuring. "You're safe now," he whispered. For the first time in a long while, she believed it. Inside the house, the mother stood frozen, realization washing over her. She had let her anger cloud everything, but now it was too late. The police would come, the truth would come out, and she would have to face the consequences. As the girl walked away, she didn't look back. The past had hurt her, but now she had a future waiting ahead.